This is a Once Upon a Time podcast for Season 2, Episode 6. I'm Tatum.
I'm Dee.
I'm Cara.
And I'm Amber.
Previously on Once Upon a Time, we figured out who Dr. Whale was, and it turned out he was Frankenstein, which is not really a fairy tale, but we're going to go with that.
Regina came face to face with Daniel, and she killed him, and she was crying, and I cried as well, and it was really sad.
We were introduced to Captain Hook, and we found out that he was with Rumpelstiltskin's wife. She left him to be with Hook, and Rumpelstiltskin went after him for revenge, and he killed her and cut off his hand. And now Hook wants revenge on Rumpelstiltskin and is working with Cora to get to Storybook.
Oh, and Emma and Co captured him, and now he's leading them to the Beanstalk, which is where we pick up. So what did everyone think of the episode overall?
I thought it was really good.
I liked it.
I stayed up all night talking about it, so I'd say it was really good.
I haven't actually watched since episode 12 of season 1, but they told me I had to watch this episode because it had Captain Hook in it, so I did, and I really liked it.
Yeah, they had some really good scenes, Hook and Emma, in this one, and Hurley from Lost was in it, and that was so great. It was so awesome.
I don't know, I'm getting really annoyed with, well, not annoyed, but like I'm finding it really repetitive that Hurley keeps playing all these characters you're meant to feel sympathy for, because you just know it's coming. I was expecting it to happen the whole time. I was like, oh, he's not going to be a really terrible giant. Well, he's not going to be completely bad, is he? Because it's Hurley.
I hope he turns into like the BFG
I have no idea.
and becomes best friends with Emma or Hook.
I really liked that scene where he had Emma in his hand, and it was so funny.
It was such rubbish CGI. I'm sorry, the episode was really good, but the CGI in the show is absolutely terrible.
I agree.
But it's actually gotten better since last season.
It was great though. They don't need to focus on the CGI to make it a really good show. It's actually a really good show.
Well, I was saying to Amber and the others, I haven't watched since season 1, and when I came back to watch 205 and 206, the mythology's gotten a lot better, and they fitted the show much better together, and the characters are better developed than what they were before. So it's definitely an improvement on what season 1 was.
I really wasn't I wasn't expecting it because season 1 was so good, and I didn't know how they would make season 2 even better, and they actually have, and that's just so great.
Just a general thing, I think they actually really understand their source material, like the fairy tales and stuff that they're talking about. They really get what the fairy tales are about, so that's what makes the story so good.
Yeah, like they don't just look at it like from just one angle. They think about everything and just research the fuck out of it, basically.
Yeah, it was really good.
They pay attention to a lot of detail too, like some little things in season 1 that you didn't think was a big deal, they brought back in this episode, like the name of it. Regina asked Emma what was so important about Tallahassee, and you never found out until now.
So it shows they've actually been planning this since season 1, which I like, because I like it when writers outline their shows.
Yeah,
beforehand.
I like it when they actually have a plan, because then the whole story flows better, rather than some shows which just go from episode to episode. I'm not mentioning any shows,
Do you want me
but
to?
you know what I'm thinking about.
I think the whole of YouTube knows what you're on about.
Shall we talk about the Emma flashbacks?
Yeah, does everyone want to talk about the Emma flashbacks and how they tied in?
Danny really liked them, because Danny ship's wrong.
I don't ship them. I've explained this to Amber. I think she understands now.
I understood anyway, but still, I liked the flashbacks, but I just don't like what he does for Emma's character. Like, I like him as a character by himself because he's just a thief and it's hilarious. But I don't like what he makes Emma become and how he influences her.
I thought the flashbacks were really interesting because they gave a lot of backstory for Emma, which she definitely needed.
I really liked her glasses. I think they really suited her, and yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
My only criticism for the flashbacks was that I wish they'd used younger actors, because they just weren't believable as an 18-year-old, and whatever age he chose to be.
I have no idea how old, what's his name, Neil is meant to be, because he still looks the same age in present day, and it's been about 10 years, and he looked pretty old back then, so he's got to be pretty old now, I'm sure.
Look, yeah, he just ages really well.
His name Neil Cassidy or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a nod White Collar. I actually really do. Someone on the show watches White Collar and did like a nod to it.
You know how Danny thinks that it's Peter Pan?
Yeah.
Danny actually brought up the fact that he's called Neil and then Neil and Peter in White Collar, so therefore it must be Peter Pan.
That was my logic.
No,
I like that.
Danny's wrong.
Actually, normally right.
Danny's convinced that Neil is Peter Pan, and there's no way.
I'm okay with him being Balefire, it's fine.
Yeah, I had like problems with Neil or whatever his name is because I thought it's kind of like a bad influence on Emma, which I think that was what they were trying to show. I didn't really buy into the love story between them anyway.
I did.
I did, because she was like really young and obviously like just starting out, and so he was doing something that she wanted to do, if that makes sense. So he was like became her sort of mentor. So she really looked up to him. So I bought that part. I don't really know why he liked her so much, other than her stealing the car from him, which he must have thought was a pretty cool move.
You can kind of see that Emma has this thing for like bad boys.
For pirates and thieves.
Yeah, like even though like in present day or whatever, she tries to pretend she's not attracted to them. Like apparently she was with Mad Hatter or whatever, and they had a lot of chemistry. So clearly has a thing for like boys who are on the wrong side of the tracks, but she tries not to.
Yeah, like she did with Graham. She like went for the opposite direction of what Neil was, because Graham was the sheriff and he was like a good guy. And then now she might be going back to it with Hook.
The middle ground, remember? He's the middle
Yeah,
ground.
I think he is the middle ground. Oh, we are
Yeah.
talking about Hook Emma now because that's next on Amber's
Move
list.
on.
So.
One last thing, I want to know what was in the book.
Oh yeah, the box.
That
I still
box.
think it was a portal.
What if there was a fairy in the box?
Tinkerbell!
I'm sorry.
It's possible.
Yeah, but then they'd be outside of Storybrooke.
I think it was like a portal or some kind of magical object.
Maybe there's a mirror.
Oh, I like the idea of a mirror, like a small, or maybe a fragment of it.
Yeah, kind of like a looking glass.
Like the
Sorry.
mirror in Beauty and the Beast.
No,
that he
the
gave
mirror
her.
in
Right.
Snow White. That's it.
Alice in Wonderland.
There's no mirror in Alice in Wonderland.
The second bit, through the looking glass.
Oh yeah, there is that. That's still a portal though. I like that idea.
I thought
Yeah.
it was made out of the wood of the wardrobe that she came through, and it was like you looked in the box and you could see the fairy tale land or whatever it's called.
What I thought it was basically like a looking glass sort of thing. You know how Harry Potter looks in is it a Pensy?
Yeah.
But without actually going into the memories. Because I think that Neil is Rumpel's son. So I thought it showed him like his past and stuff, and he still remembers it or something.
It
Oh,
showed
if he
him his
remembers it, that's
destiny.
interesting.
I think it shows the future.
Oh, it might show the future. That's a good idea.
I did find it quite strange when Pinocchio guy was like, "Do you believe in magic?" And he sort of just stood there. Like, if you said that to an ordinary person, "Do you believe in magic?" they'd just be like, "Are you on crack or something? What kind of conversation are we having in a dark alley?" But he just sort of was like, okay, and then
Yeah, I
like
picked
followed
up on
him
that.
to like look in a magic box, which is not very normal behaviour.
Yeah, I picked up on that and I was like, you're not very surprised for someone who claims not to know about these things.
That's what kind of backed up my theory of him being Rumpel's son, or at least someone from that world, because I think he saw it, and also because he already knew about magic, because he didn't deny it or anything. He just stood there like a moron.
If he's like Bellfire, what if in the box was just a picture of Rumpelstiltskin and he remembered that way? It's nice and simple.
It could be Beauty and the Beast mirror, because Rumpel is the Beast. So he'd have that like hand mirror thing that you can look through and to see Belle, but instead Bellfire saw his
Yeah.
dad.
It
What
was
did everyone
also-
think about Pinocchio in the flashbacks?
He's quite hot.
It was alright.
I'm indifferent.
What kind of role do you think he plays?
I don't know. I was really confused because I was like, is he out for himself? Because you know how you brought up that he's a liar. How much of this is actually the truth and how much of it is he spinning just to get his own deal out of it?
I don't trust him anymore. Neil gave him the money and the keyring thing in Canada, in Vancouver. I thought that Pinocchio was going to like pocket it and not give it to Emma.
That's what I was going to say, because in the letter was only the keychain and the money wasn't in there. Bastard. That fucking Pinocchio's a fucking thief.
I think he has a role to play, just like Emma had a role to play. For whatever reason, he wanted the two of them apart, so he did whatever he could to split them.
Didn't he leave Storybrooke in episode 2 of this season, or episode 1? Dad went to find him and he wasn't in his room. Do you think he's gone to actually find Neil?
That's long though. I thought he just sent the postcard and went off to Hawaii or something. But it was so easy for him to show Neil the box. Why couldn't he just shown it to Emma? It would have been so much easier.
I thought that was because Emma had to believe for herself. She had to, like, come to her own decision about it, and that was the whole point of season 1. She was coming to terms with her background and things.
But then that lends credence to Danny's theory. Neil's reaction was kind of suspicious.
Yeah.
You know how, like, Emma needed a whole season to come to terms with the fact that fairy tale creatures and stuff were real?
Yeah.
Like, the way he just kind of accepted it kind of shows that he already knew.
Yeah, that he already knew about all this stuff and didn't really need to be told to believe.
Because he's Dollfire.
Pinocchio is a liar. That's the whole thing about him. You can't trust anything he says. He says he's Emma's guardian. You shouldn't take that as him literally being her guardian. He'll probably say whatever he needs to say to get whatever he wants. Yeah, we can't actually forget the parallel between them, because Emma seek out the truth. That's like her special power. And Pinocchio tells lies. So there is something going on there. Look at Emma. Don't keep getting distracted. So what did everyone think? One at a time, everyone.
Hook is so fucking...
I actually have no words, which is surprising. I just need to keyboard smash or something.
That scene, yeah, when the giant fell onto the ground and she was like, Hook, Hook, and she really cared. I was like, oh, you love him so much.
I only watched the 2 episodes, so I really liked them. I think the end scene kind of shows that she's moved past just taking people at face value. Is even though she locked him up, which, you know, in all fairness to her, he was justified in doing because he is a pirate and she couldn't actually trust him. She did, like, feel a lot of regret for it, because up until that point, he hadn't actually lied to her, and he'd actually, you know, he'd had her back and stuff. So she's moved on from that kind of, oh, you're bad.
She said, oh, I can't take the chance that I'm wrong about you. That suggests that she actually thinks he's a decent person, despite like, the pirating and stuff.
Yeah. And in all fairness to her, I did think it was quite a sensible thing for her to do.
Yeah, I thought it was a good move, because she still doesn't know if he is actually working with Cora or not, and she doesn't want to take that chance.
And it kind of sets them up a bit more, because up until that point, he had been flirting with, like, Snow, and then he'd switch back to Emma and stuff like that, and it had just been kind of like a banter thing. But then when she locked him up, and she moved away, and he kind of, like, pulled on his chains or whatever.
Emma, look at me.
Yeah, you could kind of see that they're building them up to something, especially because he's a series regular now, so I can say this. It does feel as though that there's going to be something there. I think it's just setting them up to be antagonists at the moment.
I really liked the bit where he was like using psychology on her, knew her deal and stuff. And then if you take the flashback into account, the Neil guy is like the one that like broke her trust in men, and then that's reflected in the way that she treats Hook. So I think they're sort of setting up a like triangle thing there. When Hook asked Emma if she'd or told Emma that she'd never asked her if she'd ever really been in love, do you think she was telling the truth with her answer?
At first she said she wasn't in love, didn't she? But then on top of the beanstalk, after he had hooked her and wrapped up her hand, she admitted that maybe she had been once.
I don't think what he was talking about and what she was talking about were the same kind of love.
Well, she kept the car for 11 years, so even if in her head she doesn't like Neil for leaving her in prison and giving her up to the police and everything, there's still a part of her that's like longing for him.
I think that's to symbolise her being like caught up in the past.
Well, that was another thing with her and Hook when they were climbing the beanstalk, and he made that sexual innuendo about never forgetting your first.
Yeah.
And, you know, that could also be talking about, you know, her true love. I mean, not her true love, her first love.
I also think it kind of parallels her and Hook. There's a bit in the episode or whatever when she sees the tattoo on Hook.
Yeah, for Mila.
I have a question. Wait a second. Is Balefire the son of Rumpel and Mila?
Yeah.
So if Neil is...
Yeah, Henry would also be Rumpel's grandson. Which also leads on to one of my theories that everything's going to become connected and there's going to be like huge battles and things and drama between a huge family.
Oh, the one big happy family.
But would
Dysfunctional.
would Hook not like care for Neil if he's Balefire because he's son of his love or ex-love?
I was thinking, I don't know if he'd either care about him or he'd be, because of the whole triangle thing, he'd be like at odds with him because he's also Rumpel's son as well, not just his ex-loves. He's the Dark One's son, so I think there's going to be something there.
Something, reminding him of Mila and Bellfire, but Bellfire would probably be against Hook for taking his mother away.
What are your theories based on this episode?
I have a Balefire theory, but I don't think it's going to be true. I only watched like 3 episodes of season 1, and the rest of the turtles were talking about Once Upon a Time, and they mentioned the character called Balefire, and I, as a joke, was like, oh, that's something from Wheel of Time. And then I happened to Google it, and it said on Wikipedia that it actually was a nod to the book. So I had a small breakdown, and now, ever since then, I've been convinced that at some point the fact will become relevant. So this would mean that Balfire's Rumpel's son and whatnot has like the power to undo stuff and like wipe the effect from the world. If he kills his father or someone, everything they've done will be undone.
Danny, explain what Balefire is for people who haven't read the books.
Magical people in this set of books were banned from using because it's really dangerous, because it doesn't only kill someone, it undoes all their actions, and the more you use it on someone, the further back in time it undoes their actions. So if you only use a little bit, it might burn them out of the world like 10 minutes, so like the conversation and like they had with someone 10 minutes ago didn't happen. But if this person had killed 20 people and you burnt them out of the pattern by like 20 years, then these 20 people wouldn't have died, and because they wouldn't have died, it changes everything, all the things they would have done as a result. So you can start to undo the world if you use it too much. But equally, if you don't use it that much, it can bring people back to life.
I think it's kind of like an interesting thing. You know how like Amber said that it's all going to eventually lead to like a big epic battle, which to be fair, it could be a thing, because as we know that Rumpelstiltskin and Regina are kind of antagonists towards each other. They don't really agree and they're kind of enemies. You could say that if Balefire, whatever his name is actually Rumpelstiltskin's son, he could be used as a weapon to get rid of Regina.
Oh, I like that. And then Henry could bring them together.
Yeah, and because he's an antagonist, like, we're just going off the theory that, he is Balefire. He could turn out to be Robin Hood, but going
but not a
with,
sexy fox.
Yeah, but going with the theory that he's Balefire or whatever, it sets him up against Emma. And because she brings things together and she made people remember, he could be put in a position where he'd have to get rid of her, and then therefore he'd have to get rid of Henry. So that whole bloodline. I don't think Hook is a hero yet.
Not quite. He will be when Emma's done with him, I'm just saying.
I think your theory was right, because I just got shivers at that explanation, because, yeah, it was really good.
It's a sign.
Talking about Aurora, what did everyone think about her? And don't just say that you hated her.
I think she's useless, and when my first watch, I didn't pay attention to her scene, and then I realized it was important. She is now having dreams that are connected to Henry, and they're having the same dreams and seeing each other in their dreams, which is really weird, and I don't understand it.
Going with, do you know how, like Danny said, that the series, in some ways, it's kind of like a nod to Wheel of Time? There are a couple of characters in Wheel of Time who can do this thing called dream walking, literally go into other people's dreams, and sometimes they do it unconsciously.
I was thinking maybe it could be some sort of foreshadowing with the whole like curtains burning, red rooms and stuff, red, murder, war. I'm still really set on this war theory.
Because of Aurora, the only reason I was asking about her is that I think that potentially she could be quite an interesting character, because there's obviously a reason that she's been put with these 3 women who are really independent and strong, and they're physically equal and mentally equal to like the baddest guys out there, and she's kind of like a pathetic princess at the moment. But I think that if she stays with them, they'll kind of shape her into being a proper leader.
They really need to get rid of her clothes. Not like to make her naked or anything.
That's
they
what
need to get rid of those clothes. I don't even care if she walks around in her underwear. She just needs to get rid of that dress.
Yeah, I think if she stays with them, they will kind of shape her into becoming a bit more like badass and
Yeah,
taking
able to
care
look
of
after
herself.
herself, and she won't need to be like helped over
Yeah,
logs and
so-
things like that.
But Aurora and Henry are going to like share the same dreams. They'll be able to like communicate in the dream.
I think that's quite interesting because then it gives a connection between the two worlds, between
Yeah.
these two kind of, like, in my opinion, quite annoying and irrelevant characters, and it gives them a purpose in the storyline beyond just kind of supporting the more important, interesting characters.
I'm going to talk about Harry Potter here because this is the best example that I can give. But you know,
Okay.
in the later books, Harry was having those dreams
Yeah.
where he was connected to Voldemort and like seeing through Voldemort's eyes. What if Aurora and Henry, instead of like having a nightmare, are like seeing into his memories or what he's doing or she's doing, they'll like figure out something in the future because of it.
I think it's because they're both the last ones that woke up from the sleep curse. Henry woke up at the end of the finale, and then Aurora woke up in the premiere, so it was like the same time.
What does everyone want to see in the upcoming season or episodes?
More Hook.
More Regina.
I want to learn how Sleeping Beauty got put under the spell, because we didn't, even if it was just pricking her finger, we didn't actually see that, so maybe she made a deal with Rumpel or whatever.
I just want to see more Rumpelstiltskin and the Hatter working together because I really like them, and more of Frankenstein because I think he's a really interesting character, and obviously more Hook and Emma. Mulan and Shang, which will happen.
He has to turn up. If he doesn't come up this season, then I'm
And
cry.
Peter and Wendy, because I want them to go to Neverland.
Peter and Hook.
Wendy can just piss off. I don't care about Wendy.
I loved Wendy. Well, no, I
Ugh.
didn't, but I liked them
No, you didn't.
together.
Don't lie. No one likes Wendy.
We just don't like her because she left.
I'm excited to see Cora meet Regina.
Yes,
I like
I
Cora.
forgot about that.
I mean, she's evil, but she's a really good evil person.
Cora and Regina are going to have an epic showdown with loads of magic and stuff. I think it's going to be fabulous.
Yeah, she like kidnapped Henry or something.
What if she does? And then Rumpel and Regina will have to work together, and then Hook can help. And oh my god, I'm just getting really carried away. I'll stop.
That would be cool. What if they like eat their hearts or something to get stronger?
Ew.
But still, that would be cool.
That would turn into some more Game of Thrones stuff.
Yeah, that would be some Daenerys Targaryen nonsense going on.
But they can eat with a knife and fork though, so it's different.
Then that's American Horror
American
Story.
Story.
What like things do you really not want to happen? Storylines that could come out.
This is going to be really unpopular, I'm sorry you guys, but I really, really don't like Rumpelstiltskin and Belle together.
None of us do. Well, me and
None
Dee
of
don't.
us
I don't know
do.
about anyone else.
I mean to like the people who are going to be listening, because I know they're a popular kind of couple, but I just don't find them believable because I don't like the whole mythology of like Rumpelstiltskin being two people at once.
I want to see more Mad Hatter, and I want him to fix his hat or get a new one.
He could be the key, to moving between worlds if he fixes his hat.
Before we wrap it up, does anyone have any specific kind of fairy tale characters or couples they'd actually like to see?
Mulan and Themabob.
Shang.
Bang.
Yeah, him.
What's his name from Treasure Planet?
Mushu.
Oh, what if we get Mushu?
What if they include like the child snatcher? I mean, I know it's not a fairy tale, but
Oh my god. Oh,
that'd be cool.
shivers. I hate the
Baba
child
Yaga.
snatcher.
It could happen because the Disney company or whatever, they actually own the channel.
So whatever Disney has rights for, they could technically include in there.
Star Wars.
So does that mean they're gonna
Pocahontas.
have Darth Vader?
Yeah,
in
we
there?
could have Darth Vader turning up to battle Balefire.
That would be epic.
But no, I don't think they're going to go down that route because they're two separate things.
Thank you for listening to our podcast.
Don't forget to check out the blog. We might be back next week, depending on how good the episode is, or we might be back with something else. So, goodbye.
Chicago Fire.
Maybe not Chicago Fire.
Chicago Fire is so awesome.
Bye.
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 Bye.